Good afternoon, everybody. On this hump day, June 11th, 2025, I have all of your stories for your afternoon rush home. We have so much to get into today. We'll be discussing Bachelorette Charity Lawson as she speaks out against some of the unlawful detainment happening in our country. And speaking of that, a fake ICE agent has terrorized and tried to kidnap somebody. They're on the loose. And then more on Justin Baldoni after the bombshell news where his defamation case against Blake Lively was thrown out. We're now finding out that Blake Lively has subpoenaed Scooter Braun, billionaire manager for all of the stars. So why did they do this and what's going to come of it? We'll discuss that. Plus, former Justin Baldoni podcast co-host Liz Plank has spoken out after being accused of commenting some anti-Justin Baldoni stuff. So we'll have that plus more on the protests happening in Los Angeles as we have pastors and other people speaking out against what is now becoming the terrorizing of a full community, as there's video coming out of ICE agents running after migrant workers in the fields of Ventura County. It's absolute melee. We've got that. And then, talking of drama, not only is Kim Kardashian weighing in and spatting with members of the government, but we've got Elon Musk offering an apology to Donald Trump, plus Donald Trump's statement. Will they get back together? I mean, how do you recover from what has happened, right? So we got a lot to dive into, all these stories and more. It's happening right now on The Rush. Let's ease our way into the heavy stuff with a little news on Red Sox rookie Roman Anthony. He's new to the, Fenway Park. He's coming up for his big day, and who steals the spotlight? His hot sister. This is how it works, bro. She shows up, she puts some Boston Red Sox red on the lips, wears a game jersey, and next thing you know, she's in all the blogs. Hey, take a little attention off of you. Keep it in the family, though. Roman Anthony, the whole family's talking. He's batting, hitting doubles, and she's knocking him out of the park. Okay, and in sad news, Beach Boys star Brian Wilson dead at 82. Rest in peace, Brian Wilson. Does this not make you feel old as hell? Whoever's listening, the Beach Boys are in their 80s. Oh my gosh. Either way, play some Beach Boys today and enjoy the music of rock legend Brian Wilson. And in other news, I want to give a shout out to Charity Lawson, Bachelorette Charity Lawson, for, the brave work of using her platform to speak about what matters. As you guys know, and my channel hasn't been afraid to criticize those that have been bestowed this giant audience, this platform that's helping them live their dreams, and then they stay silent on topics that matter. I'm not here to call out people by name, but I am here to share my gratitude for those that are authentic enough to tell you what they feel about an issue, even if it's going to draw some hate. And it shouldn't, but it is. She posted this, Charity did. She shared a post about, wanting to fight for people who are being detained without due process, and the non-violent immigrants that are in our country, living in fear. And people are responding. The undocumented community should enter the USA, legally. Why are they R-ing and killing women, Charity? You have the platform, use it wisely. And someone said the only reason you have a platform is from being on The Bachelorette, which again is so controlling of audience members to think that, that she has to bend to their will. So Charity responds, trying to humble me will never work out. I had a platform before Bachelorette and will continue after. My activism and speaking up for others didn't start today. Hope this helps. If I could offer any advice to Charity, not that she needs it, I'd say go bravely in the direction of your convictions, speak truth to power, and continue to burn off those people that don't get what you are doing or what you stand for. You are more than that show could ever make you out to be, and you are entitled and have the platform to change the world. You truly do. We all do. So be that change. Continue to speak truth to power. Now, in response to this person that's saying, oh, they're all R-ing and killing women, and I say R-ing because I can't say the word, but you know what I'm saying here, grape, listen, the immigrants in our country actually commit crimes at a lesser rate than citizens of our country do. Why is that? Because they want to be here, for the most part. Now, there'll always be outliers, some crazy person, mental health issues, just an evil person, gang members. They will be outlaws. But statistically, the people that come into our country want to be here. They don't want to be deported. They want to get jobs. They want to work hard. And in most cases, they're working extremely hard just to stay afloat. More on that later, but I wanted to give a personal moment of gratitude to Charity Lawson. And then she actually responded to this person, Jamie. She called him out. Yeah, I love it. Keep calling people out. Share their Instagram. This person said, "You are pathetic." In her response, pathetic for caring and having empathy towards others. Basic human decency, which seems like the basic requirements for your job. Because aren't you a nurse, Jamie? Damn, calling out Jamie at her work. And then Jamie will say, well, Charity's got a bigger platform. Who cares? She's using it for the right reasons. All right. Well, you know who's not using their platform for the right reasons? Laura Owens. She could go to jail, right? She could do hard time. And I wanted to give a shout out as we're doing it of gratitude to this writer, Martha here. Let me make sure I get the name right. Martha Ross from Bay Area News Group. She writes for the Mercury, and she had this story yesterday, which is a pretty good one. Ron Owens seeks donations after daughter's indictment in Bachelor case. Ron Owens, of course, a legendary radio Hall of Fame member, right? In the Bay Area, a Bay Area icon, as she calls him, had his Arizona home raided over his daughter's claims that Bachelor star Clayton Echard got her pregnant. Now, this is what's interesting, right? Because we've talked about media and the story of Laura Owens. It's not as big as, like, we tried to get, people to cover the Laura Owens story for a long time, and it's not national news, it's not international news. It's basically a slice of life story of a guy who's the victim of fraud. But to the guy, Clayton, and the former men, Mike Maricini and Greg Gillespie, it's everything. It's everything to them, right? They can't keep jobs. They're having trouble going in and out of TSA at the airport because they all have restraining orders against them because Ron Owens' daughter has an issue. She's got a big issue, and we've been exposing it. Laura Owens has claimed that we're these radical people bullying her or whatnot, but it looks like Martha's getting this story right. So she says, Ron Owens and Jan Black, his wife, longtime figures of Bay Area legacy media, have watched in disbelief as content creators representing a new media paradigm have jumped on their daughter's story in order to cash in, they say. In mid-January, Owens and Black insisted she had been pregnant and described the unfairness of her ordeal. As parents, they also said her situation has been the most difficult thing they've ever dealt with, even more than Owens being told at one point that he had 6 months to live. Owens, moreover, expressed pride in his daughter standing up to cyberbullies, which included her once threatening to file a 9-figure harassment and defamation lawsuit against one YouTuber, Dave Neal. Owens told this organization, Laura is easily 10 times better at it than I am. I couldn't have done it. I would have folded. Now, as you guys know, all we've done is report the truth. And through Laura Owens digging down, she kept on digging for her own rock bottom as she threatened me, my wife, my family, plenty of audience members, Liz Neptune, literally everyone. Lauren, and I can't even think off the top of my head all the different people that have been threatened, right? Fellow podcasters in the Bachelor world. So it's good to see that the story is turning, that Martha is covering this and linking the interesting combination where you have a man who was making $1.4 million a year as a radio host. Talk about the privilege. We're doing okay on our channel, but it ain't 1.4 million level, right? And he's able to do that, and now he's asking for donations. Meanwhile, his daughter needs money for her lawyer, so the two cannot be untied. The daughter lives with him, and he's asking for money. You can't untangle those two, and good on the reporting to cover this. What's also interesting is they decided to include this video, I cannot believe it's still up, of Laura Owens doing a TED Talk where she claims she was assaulted. Now, we've debunked this story because the image she uses in this YouTube video to claim assault was the same image she sent to the guy she's now accusing of assaulting her, Mike Maricini. And of course, that image had nothing to do with violence or anything whatsoever. So it's been debunked, and it's still up there. And she uses that, amongst other things, to claim that she's the victim of this scenario. So her blogs have been taken down, and now here's a statement from her attorney, Joshua Kalsrud. He said his client would no longer comment publicly about her case. Well, I mean, way to show up after 2 years, given that she faces significant felony charges, which carry mandatory prison time if convicted. Adoy. Colesrud, a former prosecutor, said he respected the Justice for Clayton community in its work on this case. So this guy's the real deal, right? Rather than inflaming the community who's done nothing but expose her, he's saying, oh no, we respect you guys. It's like, yeah, way to wave the white flag. She could have used you a couple of years ago. However, he warned against mob justice and said it is equally critical to allow the justice system to function. He hoped that the community's energy and passion for justice could be channeled in a way that supports a fair and peaceful outcome for Laura Owens. Let me tell you this, Colesrud, am I saying that name right? Let me tell you this. We are less worried about Laura Owens' feelings and more worried about the victims of Laura Owens. We'll worry about her feelings when we've restored justice for Mike, Greg, Clayton, all of their families, the children of Mike and Greg and future children of Clayton, and everybody, Clayton's parents, that are going to have to deal with Mike's wife, Greg's lovely lady Ashley. Shout out to you always for, being some of the fiber that linked this thing together. My energy and the energy of our justice is for them, not your fucking client. Are you kidding me? Now, I understand he's not getting paid by them. He's getting paid by her. I hope that check clears. But what you need to understand is we don't have the time, energy, or bandwidth to worry about Laura effing Owens right now. She's going to do just fine with the justice she gets now that we've passed the baton off to the legal system. But what we need to worry about and keep focus on is those that still have restraining orders against them, at least 3 men. She tried to get one against me. Luckily, journalism still exists in our country. And call me a content creator, call me whatever the hell you want. But what I did and what my community did was shine a little flashlight into some dark areas. And once those cockroaches moved away, we found all of her fraud, even though we were threatened with these nine-figure level lawsuits. So either way, don't have too much room. And as far as mob justice goes, there was no mob justice. No one laid a finger on her. No one sent her any serious threats. Everyone did the work and put their big boy and big girl, hats and gloves and boots on. And we did some digging. And we found out that your client is a fraud. She's a scam artist. She's a liar. And she's a manipulator. And she will be stopped. She can no longer do all of that. So good luck fighting for her 7 felonies. The smartest thing you can do right now is not talk, because there is nothing that you can say that is going to change our opinions of this scammer. Let's move it on from here. Speaking of which, coming up next, we got Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively. More to that story. Today's podcast is sponsored by Ancient Nutrition. For over 1,000 years, explorers the world over searched for and told tales of a mythical fountain said to restore one's youth and cure anything. Newsflash, it was never found. But hey, we do have collagen. While it's not a miracle, it is proven to be pretty darn good at helping you look and feel younger and more healthy. What's the best collagen, you ask? Well, it's made by Ancient Nutrition, of course. This formula is powered by clinically studied ingredients that promote fat loss and healthy weight management, as well as building lean muscle. Collagen can also reduce joint discomfort and improve the look and growth of your skin, hair, and nails. You know me, I'm a hair guy. Turning 40, I'm fighting father time. 1 scoop in the morning with a smoothie, that's all it takes. Right now, Ancient Nutrition is offering 25% off your first order when you go to ancientnutrition.com/rush-hour. That's ancientnutrition.com/rush-hour for 25% off your first order. ancientnutrition.com/rush-hour. Actually, right before we get to Baldoni, I got to tell you, Daily Mail, one of the biggest media entities in the world, is now covering Bachelor Clayton. So a little late to the party. Beloved radio star begs for donations for health crisis as daughter is embroiled in the Bachelor sex scandal. Say no more. Say no more. The vultures are out to feast on the carcass of this story. So let's get into it. Liz Plank was co-host with Justin Baldoni. Here's an interesting story I've wanted to cover, but it's kind of fallen in the last couple days with all the other stories. Someone posted this in one of their comments. I just saw the funniest boy problem get dismissed by a federal judge in New York. And feministabulous, whatever the hell her name is, Liz Plank, responded with LMFAOOO. Now, everybody took this to her laughing at Justin Baldoni. Of course, because he had his $400 million defamation case against Blake Lively dismissed. So on the same day, Justin Baldoni's former co-host responds, LMFAO. We're going to get to her response in a second. But here was the initial post, this is from a while ago, where she was tagged in a comment. You should get in touch with this guy, that being Justin Baldoni, because Justin Baldoni was, doing the work of talking about his challenge to, deconstruct a lot of toxic masculinity and live a more enriching life with his wife and his daughters and things like that. So she responds, so that was in 2019. She's in touch with him. And then there's snapshots from the same day in 2019. It was the year Liz Plank published her book and around the time her relationship with Justin Baldoni began. They say by all available metrics, Justin Baldoni had the larger platform at the time, making their collab a strategic opportunity for Liz to expand reach and influence. Now, listen, I've met Liz Plank. I don't have much of a thought about her. She's friends with people that I'm good friends with. I'm sure she's a nice person. I have no idea. I can't personally vouch for her, but she obviously had a close working relationship with Justin Baldoni, right? Obviously. Now, when the sort of smear of Baldoni came out in December, she posted, I will have more to share soon as I continue to process everything that has happened. In the meantime, I will continue to support everyone who calls out injustice and holds the people standing in their way accountable. So she basically threw Justin Baldoni under the bus. I mean, she cut ties with him. Their podcast ended on the spot. It came out that she had text messages with Blake Lively, through, I think not through Discovery, they found out some of that stuff, right? And a lot of people have wondered, is Liz Plank on the side of Blake Lively? Has she been working with Ryan Reynolds? They had worked together in the past. And look, maybe Liz Plank knows more than we know. I've talked to friends of Liz Plank, specifically, I probably shouldn't say who, you could put the pieces together, who have said they believe Liz Plank, that there's more to Justin Baldoni than meets the eye. Now, my question is, I don't believe that, because where is it? If Liz Plank had sort of evidence that supported Blake Lively's case as a feminist, wouldn't she want to provide that? By staying silent and by not helping Blake Lively's side, you could see her as being complicit in the kind of structure that she wants to dismantle. So either you got the evidence to throw Baldoni under the bus or you don't. Like, which one is it? So she says this and it leads to a big response from people. And then we get this response from her yesterday. She claims this story is fake. A story comes out. Liz Plank addresses Baldoni's legal battle with Blake Lively for the first time since quitting their podcast, as she makes savage remark amid his countersuit being dismissed. Now, I personally think it's extremely fair to see this comment by Liz Plank, where she says LMFAOOO. I think it's fair to see that and assume she's talking about Justin Baldoni for all the reasons we just shared. She's now claiming that is not the case. This story is fake. I responded to a comment assuming it was about Trump, the guy actively dismantling democracy, because that's the boy problem I think about daily. Every time a conspiracy theory is fabricated about me, I get death threats or doxxed. Shame on the Daily Mail for printing this trash for clicks. Go touch grass. I would not say shame on Daily Mail. I personally wouldn't, because I think the link is close enough. Now, people are saying Liz Plank is just absolutely gaslighting us. She clearly was talking about this and didn't like the heat she got. We'll never know. It was too vague to ever know, but her silence is deafening in the sense that she's neither taking Blake Lively's side nor Justin Baldoni's side. My guess, if you're her, you don't have much of a exit ramp out of this thing, because by sort of throwing Baldoni under the bus, you were believing Blake Lively, which, look, you can't blame people initially for believing. It was a pretty damning case she put forth. But at the same time, what Liz Plank stands for, amongst many things, I can't speak for her, but I would assume, is critical thinking, being able to change your opinion based on information. And by not publicly supporting either side, it's like, what is she feeling? And we just don't know. And when you're a content creator, when you're a podcaster, and you're not sharing your opinion, people kind of see that as fraudulent. But again, we'll wait and see how it all plays out. But I also will say, maybe she gets death threats, maybe she does get doxxed. I can't speak on that. But she's a public figure talking about the biggest pop culture news story in the world, and she's kind of front and center part of it. So while I remind people, don't send death threats and don't dox, at the same time, that can't prevent people from being reasonable as they cover the story, right? Here's another aspect of the story which is pretty wild, just to briefly cover. Blake Lively battle takes fresh twist as Julia Fox enters feud with inhumane claim. She said, I was very happy to hear the news about Blake Lively because I support women all the time. She said at the Tribeca Film Festival. I support women when they're right. I support women when they're wrong. It sounds like a Dr. Seuss book. I support women in a thong. I support women when they're likable and when they're unlikable. I support women that I have nothing in common with. I support women that I smoke bongs with. I don't know. Either way, I tried my best. It's very bizarre. Listen, I'm not trying to make this gender-based. Just, take everybody with a grain of salt. Believe people, but then, leave grace and space for the evidence to follow those claims, right? Especially when believing one person means canceling another. If you believe Blake, it is essentially a cancelization of Justin. So believe whoever you want, but leave room for them to provide facts. And if no facts show up in this case, then, I think it would behoove people to, stay neutral or just support the fact that tie goes to the runner, right? I mean, if she doesn't provide the evidence, you don't have to say Justin Baldoni is the greatest guy in the world, but you can say she didn't bring claims that supported that she was harassed, and that's exactly what it's going to come down to. Wild stuff. The final Blake Lively story, because we are just nonstop. Blake's version. I'll get it, like Taylor's version. Scooter Braun's Hybe America subpoenaed by Taylor Swift's pal and Justin Baldoni battle. This is pretty wild. Blake Lively just had a major win in her multi-lawsuit, multi-million-dollar legal war with Justin Baldoni, and now Taylor Swift's pal is opening up a brand new battlefield with the Shake It Off star's grand nemesis and his company. Former mega manager and very public Baldoni buddy Scooter Braun is being subpoenaed in the sprawling case. I didn't know that Scooter Braun was buddies with Justin Baldoni. I had no idea. Is this Blake Lively's attempt to win back Taylor Swift? We know, this is getting complicated, but we know that Taylor Swift, not exactly fanboy or fangirl of Scooter Braun. A notice of subpoena was sent today from Lively's lawyers with a first attempt to serve it set for Thursday. So what are they going to find? Folks are calling this a fishing expedition because I heard nothing so far of Scooter Braun being involved any way whatsoever. So you can't just send subpoenas to everybody hoping that some information will come out. Do they have any credible reason with regard to why they think Scooter Braun has information they need to know? We will have to see. All right, let's move it on. We have just a lot to get into. Here's President Trump responding to whether or not he'll mend bridges with Elon Musk. Have a listen to this.
With Elon, is there anything that you can do to forgive him? Could you see that happening?
Well, I have no hard feelings. I was really surprised that happened. He went after a bill that's phenomenal. It's the best thing we've ever signed in this country. And that's phase one. Phase two, phase three, all of a sudden is, it all comes together. It's coming together so well.
And of course, Elon Musk went after this big, beautiful bill, which would add trillions of dollars in debt. Of course, after Doge saved what? $100 billion bucks, literally nothing. And the reason the bill adds so much debt is because it's a tax break for billionaires. And I think we need to keep on remembering what this is all about. The one thing that should unite the country is that billionaires should pay their fair share, right? There was a recent study that illegal immigrants actually pay more in taxes than companies like Amazon do. It's absolutely insane out there. And the bill and the sort of world we live in right now with all the debt that we have should be a bill that saves money, doesn't put us further into debt.
And when he did that, I was not a happy camper. So it's too bad.
You said he had problems. What kind of problems? I mean, is it the drugs?
I don't know what his problem is, really. I don't know. I haven't thought too much about him in the last little while, but the bill is so good. When he went after the bill, this bill is going to turn around this country so fast your head will spin.
He just didn't think
Well, if our head spins, we won't have health care to fix it. Listen, there's no way that a bill that adds trillions of dollars in debt is good for the country. We're spending $1 trillion just paying the interest on our debt, right? If we didn't have all this debt, we could probably afford universal health care, paid family leave, all these things, which we can actually afford now. But either way, the Republican Party has prided itself in, cutting costs, right? Prided itself, small fiscal responsibility, small government. So why is there a bill that adds to all of that?
He feels very badly that he said that, actually.
And maybe it was something else. I mean, he had the fight with Scott Besson outside your office.
Yeah, well, they had not a fist fight, people, but I guess they had a little bit of a shouting match. But that's
Did you hear it?
That's typical. I heard a little bit. That's sort of typical about,
Yeah.
that happens.
You were very kind to him. I saw you together, and I think he treated you a bit like a father. And
I was disappointed.
Yeah.
in him. But, it is what it is that happens. Things like that.
By the way, hey, the fact that Trump is saying it is what it is that happens is the most humility he's ever had. So is it bizarre? Do we need the X-Files music? Let me get it. Is it bizarre to think that after Elon Musk claims that Donald Trump is in the Epstein files, wrong one, claims that he is in the Epstein files, that now Trump is as nice as he can be to Elon Musk? I mean, there may be more to the story. And talking about bending the knee, here's Elon Musk's response. He actually tweeted this out. "I regret some of my posts about President Trump last week. They went too far." Well, I mean, sure. Do I think, Elon has, it's all but known he's on ketamine and Adderall. I don't know what happens when you combine ketamine and Adderall, but I'm going to tell you this right now. I bet you I could release a hell of a podcast episode if I was on ketamine and alcohol. I mean, to think that I can do what I do with just cold brew and some love. But either way, listen, there's got to be more to this story. And I hope the conspiracy theorists that are out there consider that it's not as simple as what they want it what they want us to believe right now. I mean, it's just not as simple as this, right? And who knows what either of their motivations are, but very interesting. Now, we're going to get into the ICE issue, right? Protests are coming across the country. And now a fake ICE agent yells immigration and zip ties a woman in a brazen Philadelphia robbery. As he pretended to be an immigration customs and enforcement raid, ICE. So he's an impersonator, and this is exactly what we said was going to happen. As there's all of these issues going on with these masked Gestapo, locking people up and running around and saying they have ultimate authority, and if you go against them, you're resisting arrest from a federal officer. All of them, and then all of a sudden, it's like, hey, listen, I don't need to explain this to criminals, but if there are criminals out there that want a front or a cover for committing crime, they slap on one of these camo black, outfits on, put a mask on and claim that they're ICE. Are you kidding me? This is the problem. This is why you need accountability. This is why you shouldn't have masked police officers. And folks will say, well, it's to protect themselves from the gangs. Well, let's worry less about protecting them and more about protecting the citizens, right? Isn't that the job of the police forces, to protect and serve? Our tax dollars are going to terrorizing us. And that's literally what every story we have today is all about. Kim Kardashian posted, "Hey, Trump, stop messing with hardworking immigrants. Homeland Security hits back." So here's what she had to say. "When you're told that ICE exists to keep our country safe and remove violent criminals, great. But when we witness innocent, hardworking people being ripped from their families in inhumane ways, we have to speak up. We have to do what's right. Growing up in LA, I've seen how deeply immigrants are woven into the fabric of the city. They are neighbors, friends, classmates, coworkers, and family. No matter where you fall politically, it's clear that our communities thrive because of the contributions of immigrants. We can't turn a blind eye when fear and injustice keep people from living their lives freely and safely." Now, I've said the same thing. Solve the issue at the border so there are less people coming in, and deal with the people that are here now by increasing the bandwidth of, the judicial branch with more immigration services. People are trying to do it the right way. So Kim Kardashian says that, and a real vile response from Trisha McLaughlin. "Hey, Kim, which one of these convicted child molesters, murderers, drug traffickers, and rapists would you like to stay in the county? These are just a few of the convicted illegal criminals who have been picked up in the last 72 hours. And I stand by the idea that you can't deport 1,000 people to find one criminal. You can't do it that way. Find the criminals and deport them. Right? So what they're basically doing is mining for gold using dynamite, right? They're just blowing shit up and then saying, well, we got a couple bad guys. Yeah. This is the whole idea with felonies, where anybody in our country can be, convicted of a felony if you follow them closely enough. You're going to roll through a couple stop signs. And I'm not saying that if you're a child molester, you should be let off the hook. What I'm saying is find the bad people, figure it the F out, and get them out of our country if they're illegal. And if they're illegal here, they go to jail, right? But they get due process. Even the bad ones get due process. We have a pretty wild update from Florida Senator Ileana Garcia. She said this: Stephen Miller has made it a point to include undocumented minors in foster care, many of whom are victims of human trafficking, in his efforts to fulfill a desperate weekly quota of deportations. These individuals are being picked up at the homes of foster parents. This is unacceptable, regardless of their citizen status. His focus has now shifted to South Florida. The opinions and statements expressed are my own and do not reflect those of the Senate or the governor. I am committed to doing whatever it takes to protect protect our children as they are victims, not criminals. She tagged Donald Trump. Now, this is a big deal. She is a member of the Republican Party. And, I hate that people don't speak up until it affects their community. But this isn't going to just affect Los Angeles or Southern Florida. It's going to really permeate into all communities in our country, right? And as they're sending National Guard and Marines and having parades for Donald Trump's birthday, there's like two worlds we live in right now in our country. Those that are celebrating and doing immigration counters for those who are getting deported, like some of my friends are doing, and it's deeply disturbing and disgusting to see that happen. And I hope those that are so scarred that think that is the right way for our country to go, including some family members, I really pray for them that they have more humanity and compassion for maybe people that don't look like them. But now that we're seeing this happen, listen, criticizing Stephen Miller, the guy who's put together a 3,000 deportations a day quota, this guy is absolutely wrong. So we actually had Terry Moran from ABC called out Stephen Miller, and he was basically fired, his contract not renewed, by ABC News. Now, I understand you got to be objective if you're going to be a reporter. I understand that. But what Stephen Miller is doing is absolutely evil. And I've said this for weeks now as we've watched it play out. It's absolutely evil. So the question being asked by United Farm Workers is, who is this helping? Here's a video of ICE agents. I'm assuming this is in Ventura County, where a lot of the crops of our country and the world come from. And they're saying, we feed you, they hunt us. And this is a video, a wide shot taken of ICE agents running across the fields where migrants and immigrants do back-breaking labor to provide agricultural food to our country. Now, what's going to happen when they're all rounded up? I mean, the food's going to spoil. It's going to go bad. It's going to raise prices for you and I. And I just remind people that the issue going on out there is not an issue solely about immigration. The real issues that face the middle class and people that are living paycheck to paycheck are the issues of the rich getting richer and the poor getting poorer. That's absolutely what it's all about. We have so much more to cover, but we are flat out of time right now. So make sure you hit subscribe, follow us on all the social media platforms, continue to share. We've had so many of you guys share our content. I appreciate you so much. It's the Rush Hour with Dave Neal on Instagram, D Neals on Instagram, and D Neals on TikTok. I'll also have stand-up shows next week in New York City, so follow me on Instagram for those. Stay kind, stay compassionate, stay graceful, and let's keep exposing some of the real sad stories that are out there, and let's all be a part of that change. We'll see you in the morning. As always, I'm Dave, and this is The Rush.